In 2005, as the cinematic world embraced the adaptation of C.S. Lewis's classic The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the gaming industry was not far behind. Traveler's Tales, in collaboration with Buena Vista Games, released a video game version of this beloved tale for the PlayStation 2, PS2, aiming to capture the magic and adventure of Narnia for a new generation of players. But how well did the game fare, especially in a market crowded with action-adventure titles? Let's delve into its gameplay, influences from contemporary games, and its critical reception.
The early 2000s was a dynamic period for video games, with the PlayStation 2 reigning supreme as one of the most popular consoles. During this era, the action-adventure genre was particularly well represented, with titles such as The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, 2002, and Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, 2003, setting high standards. Both these games influenced the design and gameplay mechanics of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Much like the Lord of the Rings games from the time, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe sought to blend cinematic narrative with interactive elements, offering players a chance to relive key moments from the film. This is evident in the game's use of film footage as a storytelling device, seamlessly transitioning from cutscenes into gameplay. The epic battles against the White Witch's minions echo the large-scale skirmishes found in the Lord of the Rings games, where players faced overwhelming odds and dynamic environments.
The game also borrowed heavily from Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, particularly in its platforming elements and environmental puzzles. The level design often required players to navigate treacherous terrain, using precise timing and teamwork to overcome obstacles, a mechanic that was becoming increasingly popular in action-adventure games of the time.
At its core, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is an action-adventure game with an emphasis on teamwork and puzzle solving. The game allows players to take control of the four Pevensey siblings, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, each with their unique abilities that must be utilized to progress through the levels. Peter, the eldest sibling, is the most combat-focused, wielding a sword and shield to protect his younger siblings and take on enemies head-on. Susan, armed with a bow and arrow, Susan excels at ranged attacks and also has the ability to play a pan flute, which can solve certain puzzles or charm animals. Edmund, agile and quick. Edmund is skilled in stealth and can climb to areas that others cannot reach. His role often involves sabotage or reaching otherwise inaccessible parts of the environment. Lucy, the youngest, Lucy, is a healer and can also use her cordial to solve puzzles. She has the unique ability to communicate with animals, which plays a crucial role in some of the game's puzzles.
The game's design requires players to switch between characters frequently, utilizing their unique abilities to solve puzzles and defeat enemies. This encourages a cooperative approach, even in single-player mode, and adds a layer of strategy that was somewhat innovative for its time. In multiplayer mode, two players can control different characters simultaneously, adding to the cooperative element of the game.
Combat in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is straightforward, with basic melee attacks and combos. However, the game also incorporates special moves that are context-sensitive, allowing players to perform more powerful attacks or solve environmental puzzles with the right timing and character combination.
One of the game's standout features is its environmental interaction. Many levels involve manipulating objects in the environment to progress, whether it's pushing a boulder to clear a path or using fire to scare off enemies. This adds a puzzle-solving dimension that helps break up the combat-heavy sections and keeps the gameplay varied and engaging.
Upon its release, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe received mixed to positive reviews from critics. While the game was praised for its faithfulness to the source material and the integration of movie footage, it was also criticized for several aspects.
One of the most frequently mentioned positives was the game's visual presentation. The graphics were considered impressive for the time, with detailed environments that captured the icy beauty of Narnia. The character models and animations were also praised for their fidelity to the film's depictions of the characters and creatures of Narnia. The sound design,
2. Garnered commendation, particularly the use of voice clips from the film's cast, which added authenticity to the experience.
However, critics were divided on the gameplay. Some appreciated the variety offered by the different character abilities and the puzzle-solving elements, noting that it added depth to what could have been a standard movie tie-in game. Others, however, felt that the gameplay was too simplistic, particularly the combat mechanics, which were seen as repetitive and lacking in challenge.
A common criticism was the game's length, with many reviewers pointing out that it was relatively short, clocking in at around 6 to 8 hours of gameplay. This was seen as a drawback, especially given that the game was full-priced at release. The lack of replay value was another issue, as once the story was completed, there was little incentive to revisit the game beyond perhaps reliving certain favorite scenes.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe on PlayStation 2 stands as a competent, if not spectacular, adaptation of C.S. Lewis's classic tale. It successfully captures the essence of the film, offering players a chance to step into the shoes of the Pevensey children and explore the magical world of Narnia, while it draws inspiration from contemporary games of the time, borrowing elements from titles like The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers and Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. It falls short of matching these games in terms of gameplay depth and replayability.
Nonetheless, for fans of the film and the Narnia series, the game provides a nostalgic trip back to the world of talking animals, mythical creatures, and epic battles. It remains a notable example of how video games can complement and expand upon cinematic storytelling, even if it doesn't quite reach the heights of its inspirations.